It was supposed to be just another slow Tuesday afternoon, the kind where the coffee smells stronger than usual and the only sounds are clinking dishes and the low hum of old music playing from the kitchen radio. Sarah, a young waitress in her mid-20s, had worked at Maple and Pine Cafe for nearly 4 years. She'd seen all kinds of people walk through the doors, tourists, truck drivers, even a few local politicians. But nothing could have prepared her for who walked in that day. He wore a crisp navy suit that looked like it cost more than her monthly rent. His watch gleamed under the hanging lights, and he spoke softly, politely, almost too perfect. There was something oddly familiar about him, though Sarah couldn't place it at first. As she approached his table, notepad in hand and her practiced smile ready, he looked up and met her eyes. For a split second, her heart skipped a beat. She felt a strange wave of recognition, but it was only when she glanced down at the name on the platinum credit card he'd placed beside his menu that her hands went cold. Ethan Hale. The name hit her like a sudden gust of wind, unexpected, breath-stealing. It had been 7 years since she'd heard it last. The same man who had once made promises under starlit skies, who held her hand like she was his whole world, and then disappeared without a word. Vanished, leaving behind nothing but unanswered questions and a broken heart. She used to imagine seeing him again, rehearsing in her head all the things she'd say if that ever happened. But now that he was right in front of her, ordering an espresso like they were strangers, she couldn't speak. Ethan didn't seem to recognize her, at least not yet. Or was he pretending? Had he really forgotten? Sarah could feel a storm building in her chest, a mix of anger, shock, and something deeper she wasn't ready to name. She took a slow breath, scribbled his order, and turned away quickly, trying to hide the tremble in her hands. But as she walked back to the counter, she couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't just a coincidence. Why now? Why here? And most of all, what would she do next? Now that the man who left had finally come back behind the counter, Sarah tried to steady her breathing. Her fingers wrapped tightly around the coffee pot, but her mind was spinning faster than the steam curling from the machine. Ethan Hale. The name echoed in her head like a song she couldn't turn off. She hadn't said it out loud in years, not even when she whispered prayers into her pillow, asking why he left. And now here he was, sitting just 10 feet away, acting like he was just another customer. It wasn't just the suddenness of it, it was how unchanged he looked. Older, sure. Sharper jawline, more confidence in his posture, but still him. The same soft eyes that once stayed into hers during late-night talks, the same voice that used to call her Red because of the old copper-colored scarf she wore that first winter they met. The memories came back too fast, each one more painful than the last. Their shared plans, the laughter, the sudden silence. Back then, Ethan wasn't a billionaire. He was just a dreamer. A guy with big ideas and empty pockets. He used to talk about changing the world, starting his own company, doing something no one else had done. She believed in him more than he did in himself. She was there during the hard parts, cheap takeout, missed rent, sleepless nights. And then one day he was gone. No goodbye, no explanation. Just a single note on the kitchen table. Asterisk, I'm sorry, asterisk. Sarah poured his espresso with shaky hands, her mind full of questions. What made him walk away? Was she part of some plan he didn't want her to ruin? Did she mean anything at all? Or was she just a chapter he needed to end to start a new one? She glanced over at his table again. He was on his phone now, probably handling some billion-dollar deal or texting someone more important than her. But then, as if he could feel her staring, he looked up. Their eyes met. For a second, time froze. There was something in his expression, something uncertain. Like maybe, just maybe, he knew exactly who she was. Sarah quickly turned away, pretending to clean the counter. Her heart pounded against her ribs like a warning. This wasn't over. Ethan Hale hadn't just wandered into a cafe by chance. Something brought him back. But what? And more importantly, what was he hiding? The rest of the afternoon moved in a blur. Orders came and went, but Sarah's focus kept drifting back to Ethan. Every sound he made, the clink of his spoon, the soft hum as he scrolled through his phone, cut through the noise of the cafe. She caught herself glancing his way too often, but she couldn't help it. How could someone disappear for 7 years, come back as a billionaire, and act like nothing ever happened? From the kitchen, Marco, the head cook and her closest friend at the cafe, noticed her distracted state. During a lull, he pulled her aside. "You good?" he asked, wiping his hands on his apron. "You've dropped that spoon 3 times and poured black coffee into someone's tea." Sarah forced a shaky laugh. "I'm fine, just off today." But Marco wasn't convinced. That guy at table 5, he'd do something. She shook her head, not trusting herself to speak. She couldn't tell Marco everything. Not yet. How could she explain that the man out there used to have everything? That once, she would have followed him anywhere. And now, she wasn't even sure if she wanted to speak to him. Back on the floor, Ethan hadn't moved much. He seemed deep in thought now, staring out the window with his coffee untouched. Something about his stillness felt strange, like he was waiting for something or someone, and that unsettled her more than she wanted to admit. As the cafe started to empty out near closing time, Sarah found herself slipping into the back office to pull up her phone. She hadn't searched his name in years, but now curiosity got the better of her. A quick search brought up a stream of articles. Ethan Hale, tech genius turned billionaire Hale, robotics expands to Europe the young CEO, who left it all behind to build a fortune left it all behind. The words stung more than they should have. Her eyes caught a small link buried under the headlines. A blog post, barely read, written by a former colleague. "He's brilliant, sure, but cold, like he's always looking over his shoulder." That line stuck with her. Cold, always looking over his shoulder. Why? Was he running from something, or someone? Sarah felt her throat tighten. Maybe this wasn't just about a broken heart anymore. Maybe Ethan's return wasn't about her at all, but about whatever secret he'd been hiding since the day he vanished. The cafe lights dimmed slightly as the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the wooden floor. Sarah wiped down the last table, stealing another glance at Ethan, who was still there. 2 hours, maybe more. 1 untouched espresso. No new order, just silence, and 1,000 unspoken words floating between them. She could feel the weight of it pressing on her chest. Why hadn't he left yet? He clearly recognized her. She could see it in the way his jaw had tightened when their eyes met earlier, the way he kept glancing toward the counter when he thought she wasn't looking. But he still hadn't said anything. Not even a hello. The bell above the door jingled suddenly, breaking her thoughts. A man in a grey coat stepped in, tall, serious, and out of place. He didn't order, didn't even look at the menu. His eyes scanned the room and landed directly on Ethan. The man gave a small nod. Ethan didn't nod back, but something in his posture shifted. Sarah's breath caught. She stayed near the back, pretending to organize the silverware tray, but her ears sharpened as the man took the seat across from Ethan without invitation. Their conversation was quiet, too quiet to catch fully, but she caught fragments. Words like deadline, disappear again and she can't be involved. Her heart pounded. Were they talking about her? Ethan's tone grew firmer, sharper, though he never raised his voice. His body was tense, eyes scanning the cafe now as if checking for eavesdroppers. That wasn't the Ethan she remembered. This man was guarded, controlled. Almost like he'd spent the last few years building walls so high no one could get close, not even her. The man in grey stood up after a few minutes, left without a word, and disappeared into the fading evening. Ethan remained seated, but his hands were clenched now, fingers pressed tight against the ceramic of his untouched cup. Sarah's nerves were stretched thin. She had questions piling up, her thoughts spinning faster than she could catch them. Was Ethan in some kind of danger? Was she? And why now? Why come back to this town, this cafe, after all these years? She grabbed the order pad from the counter and made a decision. No more hiding. If he wouldn't come to her, she would go to him. As she walked toward his table, her voice caught in her throat. Ethan looked up, startled, and for a moment, his eyes were full of something she hadn't seen before. Fear. Sarah froze mid-step. That look in Ethan's eyes, it wasn't just fear. It was warning, like he wanted to stop her from coming any closer, but couldn't say it out loud. Her instincts screamed at her to turn around, to pretend she hadn't seen it. But her legs kept moving, slow and steady, until she was standing at the edge of his table. "Ethan," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. He'd opened his mouth, then closed it. His eyes flicked to the door, then back to her. "Not here," he said quietly, almost pleading. "Please." But it was too late. Another customer walked in, but this one wasn't a customer at all. Sarah recognized him instantly. Detective Marshall. He came in sometimes for black coffee and to-go sandwiches, always polite, always in uniform. But tonight he looked tense. Focused, he scanned the room, then locked eyes with Ethan. "Ethan Hale," the detective said, stepping forward. "We need to talk." Ethan didn't move, his jaw clenched. "This isn't a good time." Sarah looked between them, confused and alarmed. "What's going on?" she asked, her voice cracking. The detective glanced at her, but didn't answer. "I've been trying to reach you for 3 days," he said to Ethan. "You've been off the grid, not smart, especially now." "I'm handling it," Ethan muttered. "Clearly not." The detective's tone sharpened. "We have a situation, and he looked straight at Sarah, might be in the middle of it, whether she realizes it or not. Sarah stepped back, her stomach flipping. "Wait, what does that mean? What kind of situation?" Ethan stood suddenly, pushing his chair back. "She doesn't need to be involved." "She already is," the detective said, "and so is the man who just left." The room fell into a heavy silence. Sarah's mind raced. The man in the grey coat, the strange conversation, the fear in Ethan's eyes. All of it was connected, but how? Ethan reached into his coat pocket and slid something across the table toward her. A small flash drive. "You need to keep this safe," he said quickly. "Don't look at it. Not yet. Just trust me." Sarah looked down at the drive, then back at him, her pulse roaring in her ears. "What is this?" He didn't answer, but the urgency in his voice, the detective's presence, the stranger from before, suddenly it was all too much. She realized this wasn't just about a man who left. This was about something much bigger. And now she was right in the center of it. Sarah stared at the flash drive in her palm, her heart thudding. Around her, the cafe felt like it had fallen into another reality, one where ordinary things didn't make sense anymore. The man she once loved was now caught in something dangerous, something hidden beneath his polished life and billion-dollar success. She had questions she didn't even know how to ask, but she knew one thing for sure. This wasn't just about the past. This was about right now. Ethan leaned closer, urgency tightening every word. "That drive contains files from the robotics division, proof that someone inside the company's been selling classified tech. Military level, untraceable. It's the kind of thing people vanish over." Sarah's breath caught, and the man in the grey coat. "He works for them," Ethan said. "He warned me to stop digging. But I couldn't. And when I realized they were watching you, I came here. To protect you." Detective Marshall nodded grimly. "We've been watching Hale Robotics for months. Ethan turned whistleblower 2 weeks ago. We didn't expect them to track him this fast." Sarah's hands shook. "So, all this time, you left because—" "I was recruited," Ethan said quietly. "I didn't want to leave you, Sarah, but they gave me no choice. I had to go underground. I thought it would be over quickly. I thought I'd come back and explain everything. But nothing went as planned. Tears blurred her vision, but she refused to let them fall. "You could have written anything, just to let me know you were alive." "I know," he whispered. "I was trying to protect you, but maybe I was just running away." Before she could respond, the bell above the door rang again. Sarah's stomach twisted, but it was just a woman, walking in for a late takeout. Ethan and the detective both tensed until the door closed again. Marshall turned to Ethan. "We need to move. You both are coming with me. It's not safe here anymore." As they stepped out into the cool night, Sarah clutched the flash drive, still processing everything. But just as they reached the detective's car, his radio crackled. A voice came through. "Target confirmed. She has the drive. Do not engage Hale. Bring the girl." Sarah froze. So did Ethan. The detective's face went pale. And suddenly, they all realized the real target had never been Ethan. It was her. Everything seemed to move in slow motion after the radio crackled. The detective's eyes darted between Ethan and Sarah, realization hitting him like a punch to the gut. Sarah's grip on the flash drive tightened as her mind spun with fear and confusion. She wasn't supposed to be part of any of this, just a waitress, just someone trying to live a quiet life. But now, she was the key to exposing something much bigger than she could have imagined. "We need to go now," Marshall said, unlocking the car and motioning them in. Ethan shielded her as they rushed to the vehicle. Moments later, they were speeding down the dark streets, headlights cutting through the night. In the back seat, Sarah sat stunned, her thoughts racing. "Why me?" she finally asked, voice shaking. "Why are they after me?" Ethan turned to her, guilt written all over his face. "Because I told them I had a backup copy, but I didn't say who had it. I never imagined they'd figure it out this fast. I should have never dragged you into this." "You didn't drag me in," Sarah said quietly. "They did that the moment they decided the truth was dangerous." They reached a safe house just outside town, an old farmhouse monitored by federal agents. For the next 2 days, Sarah stayed there, under protection, as agents reviewed the flash drive's contents. It turned out the stolen tech was being funneled through shell companies across several countries, all orchestrated by high-level executives inside Hale Robotics. Ethan's information, combined with Sarah's flash drive, gave the authorities what they needed to move in. Arrests were made. The scandal hit the media like wildfire. Whistleblower and small-town waitress expose corporate espionage. One headline read. Sarah's name was everywhere. Her life changed in ways she never saw coming.